All right, let's get rolling. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for taking some time out of your evening to hop on the call. Those that don't know me, my name is AJ Haddock. I am a headline judge in GLIAC, Great Lakes Conference schools in Michigan and Ohio. Tonight we're going to talk about red zone football. And so really what I did, no PowerPoint, no poll questions. It's a smaller group tonight, which I think could be good and play into my favor. I got 10 plays, kind of a mixed bag of all different situations involving plays in the red zone. So when we're snapping 20 and in. On this call tonight, no need to use the chat feature. If you want to, go ahead, but just unmute. Ask a question or make a point. Hopefully, I'm not going to be able to cover every part of every play. So jump on there, make a point, correct me. I'm sure I'm going to misspeak tonight. So please jump in and correct me. But yeah, 10 plays, all in the red zone. Hopefully, we're done in about 45 minutes, and we'll go from there. So just basic. As Nick's pulling this, Nick's going to drive the video tonight. It seemed to be a little less choppy on his screen than coming from mine. So Nick's going to drive the video. We'll start pretty basic here and just talk about positioning. Nick, you can leave this play pause for a minute or two. So when we're snapping 7 and in, let's just lay the foundation, lay the groundwork on these red zone plays. So when we're snapping 7 and in, we know that our deep three are on the end line, and then our line of scrimmage at the snap is going to flow to the goal line. And when we're outside the 7, so we're snapping outside the 7, we know our deep wings are coming up to the goal line extended, our back judge is on the end line, and then line of scrimmage officials, we're spotting the ball to the 2-yard line, and our deep wings are going to come up and spot it to and in. When we're talking about being in the red zone, our mechanics are super important, partly because everything's a little condensed. So we got to be sharp with our mechanics. Communication is key when we're in and around the red zone. Over-communicate, whether that's using your O2O or nonverbal signals with your deep wing or cross-field partner. It's key that we have when we're talking about deep wings and line of scrimmage, we're all in the right place and we're all on the same page. So if we're snapping at the 7, we got to make sure that both deep wings are on the end line and both line of scrimmage officials know at the snap we got to move to the goal line. Distance is our friend on any play, and I think when we get in and around the goal or in the red zone, I think distance tends to go away just naturally. Everything becomes a little bit more compressed. So the key there is always move with a purpose, but really when we're in the red zone, you really got to move with a purpose, and you're not moving a whole lot with your feet. Your eyes are going to move, but your feet aren't going to move a whole lot when we're in the red zone. Keep distance. That's going to help you when you're out there officiating. Everything's magnified in the red zone, so when we're talking about fouls, we want the fouls to be big. We don't want to nitpick things, but we also need to get them. So if we miss a tackle flinch at the minus 30-yard line on the other side of the field, yeah, as line of scrimmage officials, we want to be perfect pre-snap. But at the end of the day, we'll live with a downgrade and on a 1-yard gain, and we miss a false start at the minus 30. But if we miss that false start right here on the +4 going in, and they score a touchdown, that's a little bit bigger deal than fouls. And we'll see a couple examples of that in a few of the clips that we show, really making the fouls jump out and be big. And then as we get better as officials, football IQ comes into play. And part of this presentation tonight, hopefully we're going to pick up on a little bit of football IQ. And so when we're talking football IQ in the red zone, I think the first thing we need to think about is the playmakers, both on offense and defense. And so if going into the game, number 88 is leading the team with 12 touchdowns, but all those touchdowns are less than 15 yards, Well, when we're in the red zone, they're probably going to go to number 88. Or if you got a team that runs 60, 70% of the time, but they only have 2 rushing touchdowns, they're probably going to throw the ball when they get in and around the red zone. Or that can be flipped. So know a little bit about your teams, and that goes to the defense as well. Know a little bit about your teams going in. And then, again, everything's condensed. So when we talk about keys and pre-snap, we know that we want to stay with our keys or initial responsibilities a little bit longer in the red zone. In particular, we're looking for OPI and defensive holding. Again, everything's condensed. We're typically pressed. I mean, we see that on the screen right now. And so there's a lot of grabbing, a lot of picking, rub routes to free up receivers. So those are some of the things that we got to be thinking about as officials. And then on this play right here, we're really not even going to get to the snap. But we're talking timeouts on this play. And so we know as line of scrimmage officials, we got to be late at a certain point in time. Once that team breaks the huddle, we got to be laser focused down the line of scrimmage. And we know that the team box goes to the 25-yard line. And if we're late in the play clock, coach is probably going to want to burn a timeout and not take a delay of game. And so as line of scrimmage officials, we can't really turn on this play and look to our sideline to see if a coach is coming down to call a timeout. And so that's where the deep 3 and opposite side line of scrimmage official, and we'll see that on this play, can really help the crew. I was talking to a back judge, so on this play, I guess the deep wings really can help looking down your sideline. If you're at the top of the screen as the field judge, you have your widest receiver, right? You got your count in. But really, if that wide receiver false starts, you're not doing anything. You can't call a false start. And so really you can get your key, get your matchup, but then peek up the sideline and get a look at your head coach, especially late in the play clock. Is he coming down the sideline trying to call timeout? And you can be a help there. And back judge, the same thing. But at a certain point in time, the back judge isn't going to be able to look to those sidelines as much because the play clock does become threatened. So if you want to run this, Nick, real quick, and we can just see at the bottom of the screen, the headline judge shuts this down and grants a timeout. His team is actually the defense. His sideline on this play, if you ran it back, is actually the defense. He went across he saw the coach coming down the sideline from across the field and granted a timeout to the coach on the other side of the field. And again, I think that's, and you'll see on the top of the screen in the coach's cut here, the deep wing at the top also recognizes this. So this is really well done by this crew to get that coach the timeout. And really, that's something we got to talk to the coach about before the game. Referees, umpires, I'm sure we'll have that conversation with the coach. But deep wing, line of scrimmage official, when you're going up and talking to the coach before the game, that's one thing you got to ask them, tell them, hey, if we're snapping around the goal line and you want a timeout, get out of the coach's box. That's your time to come down the field, get our attention, make a scene. But at the end of the day, if they leave the coach's box to come down the sideline, they're getting a timeout. So if they start creeping and they're down around the 15, the 10, and they're trying to read the defense, and are they going to get it off? They don't get to do that. So they're either going to have a timeout by coming down the sideline, or it's going to be on sportsmanlike conduct following the coach for being out of the coach's box. So again, we don't want to have an unsportsmanlike conduct foul on this. We want to grant the timeout. But again, this is where the deep 3 can be really helpful on timeouts. So good with that play.
Yeah, AJ, one of the things that I had from the meeting that we had a couple weeks ago that I think is equally important, because I think about if I'm the headline judge here, I'm especially that close to the play clock, I'm not sure that I'm going to have the kind of awareness to see this coach. I think you might get a lot more luck from this deep wing down here at the bottom of the screen, looking through the ball back toward the team area, and not necessarily just the field judge in this play looking up his sideline, but maybe the side judge looking through the ball to the other team area.
Yeah, that's a great point. Because again, football IQ, the defense isn't going to your point, Nick, the side judge, the deep wing at the bottom of the screen, the defensive coach isn't going to call timeout here. We're late in the play clock. So take a peek, side judge, and to your point, Nick, across the field, and vice versa. If this is the game-winning field goal, and the defense is going to try and ice the kicker, again, deep wing at the top of the screen. You get what we're saying here, but that's a good point, Nick. Yep.
Also, it's tough, though. I will acknowledge on this play, it's tough because you got both of these guys, both these receivers are pressed. You know, if this guy's a little farther back, then that becomes a lot easier for the side judge to do. But as pressed as this is, that may be tough. Like there are some places on the field this is just difficult to get.
Yep. Yeah, that's good.
All right.
Yeah, let's switch over to huddle here. Hopefully these plays aren't super choppy. This first one, again, we're not even going to – I promise we're going to get to some actual plays. This first one's going to come in pretty blurry regardless. The point here is we're snapping at the plus 14, plus 15 yard line. The defense right now has 12 players on the field. And again, talking in the red zone, the defense – they're not right by their team box, right? So they can't just run off the field, or they can just run off the field, but they tend to not. They tend to run on the field towards their team box. And so if you run this, Nick, the deep wing and the line of scrimmage official at the snap are going to have flags on this play. And the key here is the line of scrimmage official does not have a foul for 12 players on defense. The line of scrimmage official on this play has the defense offsides. The deep wing on this play is going to have a flag for 12. So as a line of scrimmage official, you don't know if that's number 10, 11, 12 running off the field. That's not something you need to worry about. That's something that the deep wing, the deep three really need to know. But as a line of scrimmage official, you need to be able to rule that he's offsides at the snap. And if it's super tight where he's crossing your face and almost off the field. And again, you can't turn your head. You're not going to turn your head to watch his feet to see if he stepped out and then miss a false start on the offense. If you want, you can maybe take a step or two deeper off the field, but your deep wing needs to rule that if he's off the field or not. I would put that on the deep wing. Again, we can help with offsides as line of scrimmage officials, but the deep wing there is counting to 12. Good.
Yep. I had a play like that too, where we had the same situation that you just illustrated here. And, you know, as a reminder to any referees on the call, we want both of those fouls should be announced, even though it's the same guy doing two different things. We should report both of those, because I had to explain to my position trainer why I did what was my flag for, even though I wrote it up as a DOF. It was never announced by the referee, so it looks like I'm just covering my ass when that was not the case.
Yeah, that's good. All right, we don't need the end zone here. And we know with the rule changes here, that's a live ball foul. So and again, I'm not going to go into great detail there, but the defense sets up there at 12. We're going to let them run off, and that's going to be a live ball foul. All right, let's get into some actual plays. We're going to have a snap on these next set of plays here. So a few passing plays coming up. Again, we're snapping here at the +3, it looks like. So we know our deep three are across the end line. Line of scrimmage at the snap need to go to the goal line. The key here, and we talked about this at one of these meetings, is line of scrimmage officials, we're moving, but we also need to be focused on our key, our initial responsibility, our tackle, whatever the play dictates. And so at the top of the screen, our head line judge here, we have trips. So we know our back judge has number 3, our head line judge is number 2, and our side judge is the widest receiver on this play. And so on this play, the headline judge is going to flow the goal line. But if you watch his key, his initial responsibility as this runs, that second receiver comes down and attempts to set a pick or does set a pick on number 3's defender. And so as a line of scrimmage official, we need to see that and own that action. I guess my question for back judges or any deep officials on this call is, are you able to help on this? Because are you going to be able to see number 2 come down and pick that defender to free up your quote unquote key on this play? If there's any deep officials on the call that want to jump in, I have thoughts, but I'll open it.
Yeah, hey AJ, I'll jump in quick. This is something I like to pregame with both the line of scrimmage official and the deep flank, and just kind of get on board everybody with one mentality. And I think there are a number of different ways that you can approach this. Typically with my crews, it's a wait for them to declare type of situation. So we all kind of have focus on the press coverage wide receivers in this situation. And we're kind of like just watching everybody in a sense until they go into our various zones. And when they all stay in that small bunch like that, we should really all see this action because it's all in our general field of vision. And so it's going to be a matter of who can see best through the players and be able to see the contact initiated by the receiver.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Thanks, Parker, for jumping in with that. Those are some of my thoughts as well. The back judge here isn't off the hook for not being able to see that. And you bring up a good point where we can't be so laser focused on one defender, one receiver, but rather broaden our vision in multiple eyes. I mean, I could see both H and B thrown on this, and heck, maybe S. Now S is probably ruling on a little bit different action there, but yeah, Parker, I agree that we're as a back judge, as a line of scrimmage official, we probably we should be seeing this number 2 come down. And then for really for anybody on the call, referees on the call, we know that when we have trips at the top, or trips to either line of scrimmage official with 7 officials, we're going to need help. The line of scrimmage official that has trips is going to need help on that tackle. And so the referees will say they don't have one tackle. They kind of have open field of vision. But really, if that tackle pulls somebody down and number 2's pressed, as a line of scrimmage official, you're going to have to pick or choose. And I'm probably going to, if I had to choose on this play where we're snapping from, my eyes are going to stay on those receivers there and trust that my referee can get that tackle. So. Any other thoughts with this play? Cool. Let's keep rolling. The end zone's not going to show. The end zone won't show us much here. All right, another passing play. I think on this play we're snapping at, let's say, the 8, and so our deep wings on this play. You can pause it here real quick. Deep wings are on the goal line extended. Line of scrimmage officials, I'll tell you as a line of scrimmage official, if we're snapping on the 8, I'm not going to move. I mean, even if they ran the ball up the middle for 3 yards, I'm moving real slowly to get to that 3 yards to kill the play. There's really no need on this to move at all as a deep wing or as a line of scrimmage official when we're snapping this close to the goal line if we don't have goal line responsibility. So again, trips at the bottom of the screen. This is you can roll it. This is going to open up and it's going to be pretty obvious. We're going to look at the 3rd receiver right now as this runs. And so again, it's a little choppy, but I think we all get the point there that I think pre-snap our back judge, that's his or her key, right? But at a certain point in time, this thing's going to open up, and we do need to officiate the play. And this thing does open up to the field judge, and the field judge probably has the best look at potential DPI with early contact not playing the ball. We know that defenders that aren't turning their head and making an effort to play the ball, they got to be perfect with that contact. And you can make an argument, I don't know how clear it's coming through on your end, but you can make an argument that defender does get there early and makes no attempt to play the ball. And so again, this is a play where, yes, it's the back judge's key, but at a certain point, we're going to zone up and officiate the play. Other thoughts on this play?
Yeah, I completely agree with you, AJ. I think both officials need to have a look at this. This is back judge, field judge all the way. When that ball gets in the air, we have to get our eyes over. And as a back judge, you can see him walk in there late. He should be getting down that line as far as he can, maybe all the way to the hash to be able to, or past it to be able to have an opinion in the corner of the end zone, because you can't like let your deep flank just be on an island to try and do this by themselves. Do you know what he calls at the end of the play? Is that a UNS?
I don't know for sure, but I suspect based on watching this thing play out, I think he does flag the receiver. I hope the receiver said some really, really bad things to deserve that flag. Because again, that's a tough 15 against the offense. I don't know if that's what was called or not, but it appears to be that way. To your
The
point,
optics of that
yeah.
would say that it's a UNS, right? And I would want to bring up that in this play too, because I think sometimes, we have way too short of a fuse. And you're right. I mean, optically, that's just not enough to take an offense 15 yards back and out of the red zone when, they're trying to score. I feel like they would have to be up in my grill and really taking offense to it. I don't care what they say. I mean, it's going to be agree to disagree in a play like this.
I agree, Parker. I don't. Yeah, to your point, I don't really hear what he says. My ears aren't that big. So again, it would need to be some sort of physical act to draw that flag. Back to because that's a good point to pile on the offense there. But back to your movement as a back judge on this play. You're coming down the end line here. Are you going to at some point try and get settled in and not be moving when that ball comes down to the receiver? Or are you going to continue down the end line until this play's over?
No, actually, on seeing that again, the back judge does a great job because he realizes he can only get so far, and he stops and he officiates the play. And so he really does a great job because sometimes you're not going to pick up that it's going to that corner until a little bit late. And so he gets about 5 steps down, and then he just stops and officiates the play. And that's what you want to do because you don't want your eyes to be moving when you've got that play happening in the corner of the end zone.
Perfect.
Parker, looking at the way this play developed, I'm not sure this is a very easy get for the back judge. I think you're right, and then he moves down, but he's pretty much straight lined by the defender. And this isn't that play because I think most of us think this is probably a foul, but it's not so bad that what I would expect the line judge to throw in over top of a no call by the field judge. If we have a really bad foul, as close as everything is together, I could see maybe the line of scrimmage official throwing on. I don't think this rises to that level. But
I completely agree with you, Nick. And I don't think the back judge has a good enough look. They're straight lined, and I think this is just the way that it plays out. Field judges call the whole way. They're going to live and die on this call.
Now you put this in a situation where, the line of scrimmage officials at the goal line or gets to the goal line because the field judge is in the back pylon. Now we've got 2 officials who could put the flag down a little more easily.
100% agree.
Good stuff. Let's keep rolling unless anybody else has questions or comments.
Did you only have video from the UP? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, there's everything comes up from up north. That's the only place that wants to give us film is all right. So this play right here is again, as we get closer to the red zone, the trick plays tend to or trick plays could become a factor, and so you can let this run. We'll let it roll through and talk about a couple different aspects as it relates to rules on this play, rules and mechanics. So the quarterback receives a snap, pitches it backwards to receiver, running back, and then that player throws a pass into the end zone, and as he throws the pass, he also gets hit pretty hard. So a lot to break down here if we're going to talk about mechanics and some rules. So we know that the quarterback's the one that received the snap, and so once he gives possession of that football up, this running back or receiver who throws a pass has to throw a pass with a receiver in the area. Regardless of that player being out of the pocket or not, they can't just dump the ball downfield if there's nobody open. They need to throw it into an area that there is an eligible receiver. Now on this play, that's obvious. There is an eligible receiver right here. So if you look at the line judge at the bottom of the screen at the snap, I think line judge does a nice job. Takes a step into the backfield to get a good look at forward and back. Punches it backwards. We're good. Now, if we look at the top of the screen, I'll tell you as a headline judge on this play, I would say don't move. You're going to see the headline judge start to go into the backfield and then start to flow upfield. When your feet are moving, your eyes are moving, you're not focused on one specific thing. So on this play, you can be a huge help to IDP. You got your initial responsibility. Your tight end stays in and blocks. Your tight end tackle are good. There's no high-low block here. But as this thing develops, these are the types of plays, these longer developing plays where linemen tend to trickle downfield a little bit. Now, we don't have IDP on this play, but I could tell by the movement of the line of scrimmage official at the top that their eyes aren't looking at linemen flowing downfield. So I would tell you, as a headline judge, stay put on this play and let it develop. From a deep three perspective, I think our deep wings are goal line extended, good position. Our deep wing knows that we're going to have a play near the end line, takes a step off again, do what your supervisor wants, do what your mechanics, do what you want. But in this league, I think it's fine for a deep wing to take a little bit closer look at the end line as it's threatened, and our back judge closes down. To Parker's point on the previous play, though, we want to get settled in. I think as a back judge on this play, we're probably moving a little bit too much, and we talk about distance being our friend. I almost think we get a little too close to this. Again, this is pretty obvious DPI when it plays out, but again, take a couple steps down, but we don't need to catch a deflected pass on this play.
Yeah,
so,
AJ, I was going to say something about that. If you look at where the back judge is set up, at the snap, he gets, he's 2 or 3 yards off the end line, which is something I like to do when you get in the red zone. It just gives you a better, better view, something that we're used to. And he moves down well, but when that ball starts, you get a feel for it. When that ball starts to come down, just stop wherever you are. You at least for us, we won't really get downgraded on that. The other thing I would recommend is that, he keeps running on this straight line, maybe a yard or 2 over the end line. We got to be able to feel that the end line is going to be threatened, and so close down at an angle. That way you can get that straight down look, because, our deep wing starts at the goal line. So you're the only person that can really help on that toe tap on the end line. So just as you can start deep, you just kind of work your way towards that end line again.
Perfect. That's good stuff. Thank you for that, Devin. Absolutely. I agree. And to the previous point that Nick made with the line of scrimmage, we have 3 flags for DPI on this. Personally, as a line of scrimmage official, I'm probably not throwing my flag. I'm not throwing my flag on this. We have 2. Trust your deep 3 on this play. Let the back judge and side judge on this particular play live and die. Now, and if there's some sort of hand fighting coming up the field and its play ends at the 5-yard line, different story. But we're talking about a play that's going to end. We're snapping on the 14 or 15, and this thing's going to end on the end line. I would just say as a line of scrimmage official, probably stay off of this for pass interference, and trust your partners downfield on this play.
I think that's especially, it's one thing if that were that official's key. It's one thing if that's my key that goes down there and gets interfered with. I mean, let's assume this foul is so big that we're going to have to get it. If I'm a line of scrimmage guy, I'll probably come in with a late flag after I'm sure that the 2 guys standing right next to it aren't going to call it, instead of just throwing what looks like a Me Too flag from that distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a question for you, line of scrimmage guys, on a play like this. Would you be borderline getting in trouble throwing a flag like this on this type of play? Are you kind of leaving the referee to handle all players in the backfield when you're looking down into the corner of the end zone like that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the reason why we shouldn't be throwing on this. I think as the ball's in the air, we have enough time to react. I mean, once this ball's in the air, our eyes aren't going to stay in the backfield. We do need to shift our focus to where the play's taking us. But no, like I said to start this thing, I mean, the head line judge on this play has many other things that they can be doing to help the crew on this play. The tight end tackle combination block, ineligibles downfield, a potential hold that might start. No, you got to. That's why there's 7 of us out there, 8 of us out there. We, as a line of scrimmage official, you got to let your deeps on this particular play live and die by throwing pass interference on this play.
Yeah, I think too, when you look at this formation and the way the play develops, we got tight end. So, right here, if I'm H here, this is my guy right here, the tight end, right? So once I see this pitch back and a read pass and this guy's just blocking, to AJ's point, I generally try to get to the 3-yard limit. So that I'm there to be either so I can in a good position to call IDP, or my line judge can see where I'm at to help him as a reference point for IDP. But my eyes are here, but as soon as that ball's up, I really don't care what this guy's doing anymore, to AJ's point. Because especially once that block switches, I have nothing to do back there.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to start to try and understand what you guys are doing at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, no, did that answer your question though, Parker? I mean, that's kind of the progression that I would take on that play.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a while since I worked at the line, so I'm trying to understand what you guys are doing up there.
Yeah.
And
to Nick's point, to Nick's point, I mean, we talk about moving with a purpose. There's a reason to move on this longer developing play. Nice, steady, couple steps, 3 yards, to know how many steps it takes you to get to 3 yards, have that in your mind, and then settle in 3 yards past the line of scrimmage, and now you have a nice line of demarcation for ineligibles downfield. That's a reason to move with a purpose right there. So good play. Oh, and then the last thing is yes, this passer can be targeted, can be roughed. My opinion and the opinion of some other people is this hit's legal. Again, we don't need to judge foul or no foul here. The referees got to see this hit and rule potential targeting, potential roughing, but the timing's fine, and where this player's hit, I think is fine. So that's the last piece I wanted to add on this play.
I do have one small thing that I think we've mentioned in previous presentations, but if you look at the way this play ends, back judge, field judge especially, or side judge rather, we got a flag down, but that's an incomplete pass and they're just killing the clock. Our position trainer at least is real big about finishing plays. And if you're going to rule that an incomplete pass, which you should, then you should just signal the incomplete pass and don't worry about stopping the clock.
Good stuff. All right, let's jump to the next one. All right, so we're snapping at the big yard line, 5-yard line. So we know we're deep 3 across the end line. Line of scrimmage at the snap, flowing to the goal line. This is an interesting play here. We're going to have a pass out to the flat at the bottom of the screen. You can run it. We're going to look at the receiver at the bottom of the screen, number 11, it looks like on my end. And then we're going to see where this pass is caught. So at the end of this play, our deep wing, looks like our side judge here has a flag for, I think, OPI on this play. He sees number 11 come in and potentially make contact, processes kind of 2-step. Was there contact? And then where was the pass caught? if you watch this thing play from the press box till the end, the deep wing throws, and again, it isn't an immediate throw. So I think their thought process is right on this play, which is see the contact, find the football. Again, we're not just going to see the contact and throw, because we need to make sure that pass is touched beyond for it to be a foul for OPI. So they throw, and then they come down to the headline judge, and I assume the conversation, I wasn't working this game, but I assume the conversation is, hey, where was that ball? Was that ball caught behind or beyond? And this is a good play for both line of scrimmage officials, and really I think the deep wing on this play that throws, and even maybe the umpire as this thing sets up, is we got to have an awareness of where this is caught. And so yes, the mechanics manual may say the line judge needs to know, and then the umpire's got to come up if we're flowing to the goal line, and the umpire needs to know. I could make the argument that on this play, the side judge, the headline judge, and the umpire, maybe the umpire, with how this sets up, is going to have an opinion that this was caught behind. Now, what helps us here is we have a big line to work with, and so it's maybe a little easier. But if that deep wing comes down, says, where was this pass caught, and nobody knows, we're in a little bit of trouble if we're working this game, because I don't think this game has replay. And so having an awareness of where this pass is touched is very important. Thoughts, questions, comments?
No, I mean, go ahead.
AJ, it's Bruce. Just take a look at the line judge at the bottom, right? Is that what we said? That's the line judge?
It's the headline.
That's the
judge.
H, sorry.
The H, yeah,
So
H is-
you got the H at the bottom, and if we got a line of scrimmage guys on here, don't work so close to the field. Give yourself some depth. You see how he turns and kind of runs the goal line and then backs up to get his depth. You know, I would tell you, and Nick can comment as to where he would start out, but I'm going to start out at that limit line. I'm going to start at least that far back so that when I go, I don't have to turn and run like that. And then the contact that the widest receiver makes is within a yard of the line of scrimmage. So the side judge should know that. And then collectively, headlines umpire ought to probably know that this ball was caught well behind the line of scrimmage. So, you know, we've got a lot of things here that we should get right to not have a foul for OPI. And then mechanically watch the headlinesman just kind of turn and sprint. You know, I can almost guarantee you he's not doing a whole lot of officiating when he's going like that. So back off that, get off the field, get back there 10 to 12 feet. If you're not comfortable with that, at least get 6 feet off, and then slide sideways, slide down the field so that you can still be officiating. That's all I got.
Yeah, Bruce, I echo what Bruce said. I've been trying real hard the last couple of years to get myself better, to get back at the limit line. I'm always at least at the back of the white so the 2 yards off, but I need to do better in goal line situations, especially being back at the limit line. But that's one of the things, if I'm talking to my chain crew before the game, that's why it's so important to make sure that when everybody is between the 25 and the goal line, to be back at the limit line, because you want that space. You know, you want your chain gang back so you can be back. It's not critical here necessarily, but that auxiliary box guy, if he were just 2 yards off, would certainly be in the headlines this way.
Good. All right, let's keep rolling.
Did you guys think that was OPI?
No, that if you go, we could play it one more time, Nick. That's not. I'm sorry. No, that's not offensive pass interference. So we need to pick this flag up on the field. If our deep wing throws this ball is clearly caught behind the line of scrimmage, and so if it's caught behind, we cannot have a foul for OPI, regardless of where if that contact was 5 yards downfield or within that yard. The ball was caught behind.
Parker, was your question more about the severity of the contact?
Oh,
Yeah, I was more just talking about the foul itself. I I mean, some really good stuff about mechanics, and I'm wondering. So I think this is kind of a tough play because I think as a deep flank, I could be fooled on something like this, and I would hope that I have a good enough, I guess, relationship with my line of scrimmage official that they would feel comfortable taking me off this, even if it was beyond the line of scrimmage, because I think from the backside angle, it can look like OPI, but I'm hoping that on the line of scrimmage side, it like clearly is not.
Yeah,
Well,
Parker, that's a good point. But back to your question, well, what the heck are line of scrimmage officials doing on these plays? And Nick, somebody else jump in, tell me my eyes are in the wrong spot, but I'm actually not going to be able to help you much on this contact at all. My eyes are going to be in and around the line of scrimmage with that tackle. Now, again, that running back out of the backfield isn't threatened, so I'm not staring at the running back, but my eyes are going to be in and around the line of scrimmage here and not be seeing 11 come down and make contact or not make contact.
see, I would think, AJ, if I see this guy crashing like this with my key not really threatened, like you said, I might get a look. I might get a look at his action. But am I going to be
That's a
able
fair
to pull?
point.
Am I going to be able to pull the deep guy off of it? Am I going to be with him long enough to see that kind of? It's basically he basically whiffs, like he makes pretty minimal contact on that block. But I'm not sure that with me moving in that direction, I'm going to be able to tell that from where I'm going.
This is a really tough play, and so I think as a deep flank, you got to be 100% sure, right? We can't have a whiff and call it an OPI, because again, we're going to be taking an offense from the 5-yard line back to the 20-yard line, and it's a really significant foul that we just need to be 100%. And I think it's also important here as a deep flank to know that your back judge can't help you because they're looking at the other side of the field.
This is the side judge call all day. And side judges, if you want help with how to do this, you got to watch the action of the defender. He doesn't get impeded at all. So even though the wide receiver tried to throw on him, he missed. So when you watch his body, the defender's body never changes position. He doesn't get, bumped off or thrown off stride. So this was definitely not going to be a foul. And you know what? Bottom line is, deep wings, you're making the same $300 on this game as the head linesman. So buck up and make your own calls, and we're not making calls for you. So I'm sorry, I'm gonna mute my phone now.
Bruce, it's bedtime's coming up.
No, I think that's a really great addition, though, Bruce. Like I think it's important for a deep flank, and I mentioned this in the talk I gave a few weeks back about deep flanks and back judges knowing the weight of our flag, because a lot of times we're throwing high yardage fouls, and we may not have many of them in a game, and this would be a catastrophic miss for our crew.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I didn't want to focus so much on what is my thoughts on foul or no foul, but you bring up a good point. I mean, we need there to be contact for there to be OPI, and we want there to be real contact. If again, these fouls are magnified in and around the red zone, so yeah, Parker, you bring up a good point. We want that contact to be there if we're going to throw this. All right, Nick, let's skip this one. Go to the next one.
Play.
Yeah, we got to go above the bridge again. All right, we'll watch this again. This is a play where officiated how your supervisor wants it officiated, but I can tell you when we're in and around the red zone, we want these fouls to be big, and so we're going to look at IDP on a play that results in a touchdown. So line judge at the bottom of the screen is going to have a foul for ineligible one of the linemen downfield more than 3 yards. So this play, again, Nick's talked about pre-snap routine and how he works these things. This plays nice for us as line of scrimmage officials because we know that our IDP line is a big line on the field. So we're snapping at the 18, and we know that the 15 is where that player needs to be. So you can run this. And we're going to see two line. Number 52 is going to try to get to 3 yards and not get there. And then we're going to see number 62 potentially be at 3 yards on this play. Again, officiate how your supervisor wants, but these IDPs, and if you look at the line judge here, I'd be willing to bet he's guessing, because how we want to work this as a line of scrimmage official is we want to see our ineligible at the 3 yard mark and then go find the football. And if you do that on this play, the ball is gone. So it appears, again, if you see the football at the same point where 62 is on the field, 4 or 5 yards downfield, I could see why you think this is a foul for IDP. But really he might, I mean, the video isn't conclusive one way or another, but if you just look at the mechanics of this play, I think we're guessing. And so we want to see the lineman downfield and then go find the football. And if you back that up to when the ball's released, it's about right there. Potentially his foot down. Do what your supervisor wants. But the point of this is we want these fouls to be big. And I would rather, until somebody tells me different, I'd rather not guess on this and find that, send me the downgrade for not calling this than guess wrong and take a touchdown off and then get a downgrade that way. So that's my thought process on this. I'm welcome to other thoughts. We want these fouls to be big.
Yeah, I mean, even though we want, we're supposed to officiate the 3 yard limit as a plane of glass, and if any part of that lineman is beyond 3 yards, it's a foul. I don't think this is a foul. I think this guy is at right at the limit as the ball's out of the hand. And to your point, that looks like it's probably a guess at that point because when he finally checks it, okay, now if I look, I can see why I would think that guy looks like he's not good. Because I've done that. Like that's happened to me. I've done that before too. It's one of those things.
All right, we could jump to the. Got here. All right, goal line play. I figure I'd throw one of these in there, and then I think some of the rest of them aren't so line of scrimmage focused. Bear with me, umpires in deep three. I don't think we have any referees on this call. Snapping at the 3 yard line, we're gonna have a tight goal line play. So we know at the snap we're moving to the goal line. You can run it, Nick. These are the type of plays where you got to be on the same page with your partner. You don't want to be in a hurry to rule touchdown or short. This play is going to end near the hash or just inside the hash of the line of scrimmage official at the top of the screen. But that line of scrimmage official has 16 bodies between him and the runner. This thing opens up to more so to the line of scrimmage official at the bottom of the screen. It looks like it's the headline judge as he's running in. You don't need to be in a hurry to signal touchdown or short. And so on this play, body language tells me the headline judge probably thinks he's in, but he doesn't know for sure. So he's going to go find out. And so this is where you want to pregame with your umpire and you can flip to the end zone, Nick. This might actually be a shot that helps us. As an umpire, I'm gonna tell my umpire, go find that football and just put your hand on it wherever you find it. Go pick people off, and then if you find it short, keep that ball short. And if you find it in the end zone, keep that ball right where it is in the end zone. And so as the headline judge comes crashing, don't make any signal as an umpire, or certainly don't signal touchdown or tap your belt or your hat saying you think he's in. Just go find the football, put it where it is, and then let the line of scrimmage officials rule on this. And I think the outcome of this play is the headline judge comes down, finds the ball in the end zone, and we, I think, properly rule touchdown. But the key here is we don't want conflicting signals. We want to be on the same page as a crew on how we want to get these right. That's all I had on that play.
No, I think that's 100% right. And I think you notice that these line of scrimmage officials do a nice job of crashing in the field of play because they're not certain. You know, the last thing you want to do is come running down the goal line and then have to come onto the field of play to get the spot. You know, if you're not sure, crash the green.
And really, I guess to from a D3 perspective, I mean, the clock status here is important. So if yes, we need to clean up the dead ball action, but somebody's got to peek up at that clock too and figure out. Now, we as line of scrimmage officials need to either come in and kill the clock to figure it out or signal touchdown. But what we don't want to happen is find out we're calling touchdown and then 15 seconds come off the game clock because the clock operator wasn't sure what we were doing. So having that awareness enough to peek up at the clock is important too.
Which is tough in a lot of our D2 and D3 and JUCO fields because there's only one clock. You know, if you're at the end of the field with the clock behind you, hope your referee can get a peek. You know, if it's easier if it's the other end of the field.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, I think what you said about the clock is spot on. The other thing is, and this is real nitpicky stuff, but I got popped on it a couple of years ago. If you look at the back judge, he's looking at our line of scrimmage guys to see what the call is, but we've got like 20 players sitting all next to each other, and all it takes is one guy to get ticked off at the other and throw a punch. And if no one's got eyes on it, all 7 of us are going down for it. So that this is when the deep guys have got to be great dead ball officials and either trying to clear guys out or you got eyes on as many as you can.
Great point. Absolutely great point. Everybody on both teams is right there. We need to clean up these plays. Yeah. All right. Other thoughts, or keep rolling? Got a couple more plays. All right, this is communication between the deep wing at the top of the screen and the line of scrimmage official at the top of the screen. We have a pylon play, so you can let it run, and we're gonna see some body language here out of 2 officials that probably need to come together and at the end of the day have a conversation. So we know that line of scrimmage officials we got progress. We got the runner stepping out before the 2. That's ours. Come up, kill the clock, spot the football. Deep wings, you guys are pylon extended. That runner steps out at the 2, 1, or the goal line. Spot the football. Spot the football. Put them short or put them in. On this play, and again, the camera's not great. And you can piece this thing together with the end zone and the press box. The end zone helps us a little bit here, but as a line of scrimmage official, and this was a game that I was working as a line of scrimmage official, that runner didn't step out. At no point in time as I'm coming up the field, that runner step out of bounds. And so you see me from the press box point at the side judge, we're good, thumbs up. He usually looks back, and I was waiting for him to look back and look at me, and we go up for a touchdown here. And to my surprise, he put him short. And so, again, this is where I needed to keep going, and I didn't. I needed to keep going on the field and ask that side judge why we have the football short. We don't have replay in this game, right? So we got to have replay on the field, which is having a conversation and getting it right. Because just because he spots the football a yard short of the goal line doesn't mean that we can't get this thing right and make it a touchdown. And so on the field, I just stopped. I didn't continue on to the deep wing and have that conversation. I just assumed that, well, he must have stepped out. But if you look at this and you piece it together, yes, the deep wing looks confident. He even fooled me enough to put him short. But what I would tell you as a line of scrimmage official, if you don't have that runner out at all, and again, you can go back to the press box and freeze it. And the only step that threatens the sideline is really at the 4-yard line. Other than that, there's nothing else that threatens, because his final step at the 1 or the 2 is clearly in the field of play, and he didn't step out at the 4. Now we know that if the pylon's not touched and that runner doesn't touch anything in the end zone, the football's got to be within the pylon or over the pylon for it to be a touchdown. So if that ball was in the runner's left hand and the runner doesn't touch the pylon or the end zone, then yeah, we can have that runner short. But if you look at this, I mean, our deep wing has a block that he's got a rule on and has a lot going on right in his face as that runner's coming. And I think that's where me as a line of scrimmage official should have came in and had that conversation, figure out why he put him short. Because if he said he stepped out, I had him stepping out at the 4, I had him stepping out at the 3, I could have said, no, he didn't step out. We could have flipped it. Or if he said I had the ball outside the pylon, well, I'll tell you right now, he doesn't have a great look with that block right in his face. I mean, I'm coming up the field and I can offer some information that ball was inside the pylon. So this was a learning play from a couple years ago that I wanted to show tonight. I think it's a good play to illustrate communication and the importance of it, especially with games without replay. But even if you threw replay in this, you still probably want to have that conversation on the field to figure out why we're putting them short.
AJ, it's Bruce.
Yep.
Hey, so let's talk about mechanically here. I hate your point. Okay.
Sure.
I don't like that on a positive. So what you want to do is have a positive signal. Okay. So you want to nod your head. If he doesn't step out and you're coming down, you're nodding your head, positive signal that he's in. Okay. And now if the side judge has some other information, he wants to put him out, well, that's up to him. Now he can go ahead and do that. But as soon as you point to me, you're telling me you saw him step out. Okay. The point would be a negative signal to me. And so you're coming down. If he's in, it's just nodding your head and saying he's in. Right? If you can do it verbally, do it verbally, but that's the positive signal that you want. And then if he's not in, okay, let's say he did step out at the 3 and now the side judge looks at you, now we can go ahead and just kill the clock. Okay. If you know that he's looking for help. All right. So if he looks to you and you know he's in, give him the nod of the head and then be ready to go. Now, I agree. You can still change this at the end of the day, and it won't look smooth and whatever. You can say, hey, look, he was never out. But I think mechanically we want to give a positive signal when he's still in play. And the nod of the head is the easiest one to give. And then if he steps out, side judge looks at you, now you can go ahead and kill the clock, okay? Or if you know that he stepped out inside the 2, then you might want to go down and stop the clock late, have a quick discussion and say, I got him stepping out. Did you have the ball across the line? And he'd say yes or no, and we'd make a decision. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's good stuff. I think you're right. Nod in the head, and certainly in this game, it looks like there's more trees than people near the goal line. So using our voice can certainly help us on this play. I think head nod and in this game, our voice can lead us to be a positive signal and not have the point. I'd agree. Cool. We're gonna keep rolling. We're at 9 o'clock, so I guess what do you think, Nick? You show one more play? Well, this is the last one, so perfect. All right, this is a good one to end on. So pause it here. Let me set this up a little bit, or let it run. So this is actually a first down and goal with let's say 3 seconds left. I don't know how many seconds, but it's essentially the last play of the half. So it's a first down play. Okay, you can let this run and we'll see what happens here. So instead of kicking the field goal, going into half with 3 more points, they run a fake. Holder picks it up, takes off, which is fine. We're good. Attempts, and you can go to the end zone. The first end zone is actually going to help us. Dives into the end zone and is hit, and the ball comes out. And so we have a fumble here, and our line of scrimmage official did a nice job of getting to the goal line, having a bag out into the field of play, ruling that the ball came out short of the goal line. And then a Team A or Team K player falls on the ball. A different Team K player falls on the ball than the holder in the end zone. And so the key on this play is this is a first, second, or third down play. We have a touchdown. But if this is a fourth down play, or if this is a try, we have a fourth down fumble rule, right? And so the player that fumbles the ball needs to be the one that recovers the football. Otherwise, if a teammate of that player recovers the football, we're going to bring it back to the spot of the fumble, and clearly we're short here. And so that's something to think about when we're out there doing our fourth down mechanic of rolling things out, or we have a try and we're rolling it out before the play, to really think about what we're doing when we make those signals before a play. Because if this was a try or a fourth down play, this is not a successful try or touchdown. But because it's first, second, or third, we're good here. So just thought it was an interesting play. Brought some rules knowledge into it. And I think our line of scrimmage official on this play does a nice job with their mechanics of either botch snap or trick play, getting to the goal line and being definitive that we have a ball out before it broke the plane of the goal line, and throwing it back into the field, and then continue to officiate.
AJ, just so those guys know, I'm already awake. It's 9:03. I'm still up, but I love the initial position of the line of scrimmage guy. That's great awareness at the restraining line. Then just don't panic. Just hang out. Just stay there. You got a bag down. That's beautiful, but the ball comes loose, and now we start to come screaming in there. And as soon as you do that, I guarantee you that ball is going to get knocked around, and it's going to end up at your feet or something. He's in beautiful spot. Just finish that play from right where he's at until he knows for a fact who's got it, and then come in. So really good job. So well done.
Good stuff. Other thoughts on this play? Otherwise, that was the last play, and we're a little bit over time. But again, appreciate everybody being on the call. I know some of us are feeling a little zoomed out with all these meetings between work and football. It seems like every night, but really good conversation tonight. So I appreciate everybody chiming in. I know I got better from it. So thanks.
Thanks, AJ.
Thanks, AJ. Nice job.
Real quick for everybody, I appreciate everybody being on tonight. AJ, thank you again. Next week, we'll have a Monday call to go over SEC weekly quiz 8 to 14. That'll be Monday night. I believe Tuesday night, Jeremy Valentine will be leading a reverse mechanics presentation. So those should both be at 8 o'clock Eastern. You'll get emails and calendar invitations, all that stuff. But again, thanks for joining us, AJ. Great work. And everybody enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see you around.